drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes, I'm always boarding. Just out touring down in Charlotte like I play for Hornets. When I'm performing, never boring, now you can't afford it. Champagne Perrier, vintage friend.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We back. It's the King and I Life podcast, hosted by me, Soul Toucher the Poet, and my brother up in this joint.
Sounds so Lex.
Hey, we are back. We are back, man. I must say, hey, had a good time down there with you in Tallahassee.
For sure, man. It's always a pleasure to get together with my brother and just kick it, as they say.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
Thanks for coming through, homie, for real.
No doubt, no doubt. I want to give a shout out to let me see, Chicken and Rice Podcast, Carrot Juice Podcast. Somebody that started following today. Old Lot Parking Lot. Any shout outs you want to give?
You already got him, so we're good.
Plus, I want to give a shout out to our followers, especially those that just tuned in. So shout out to Lovey and Tony. See y'all popped up on my thing. So shout out to y'all for joining us.
For sure, definitely for our listeners.
As always, hit us up, www.KingAndEyeLife.com. That's the website. You can leave us reviews. You can drop us suggestions for future topics and stuff like that. They got a guest registration form that you can fill out if you want to be a guest on the podcast. What else you got, son? So Lex.
And again, of course, you guys can always just send us an email at KingAndEye369@gmail.com. Again, that's KingAndEye369@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. And again, thanks for all of the positive feedback we've been receiving.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Let's see. Any we got all our housekeeping out the way.
Yeah.
Damn, I got tongue tied.
It happens, man. It happens.
I got tongue tied and I ain't even got my tongue in nothing, boy. I don't understand how that works.
Dang it.
But anyway, so yeah, definitely got some more topics coming out for y'all, and all that good stuff. But wait a minute, I'm missing something. Anyway, you know, our motto, let's talk about it. Hey, again, there's the website right there. Suggestions and all that stuff like so Lex told y'all, you know, right there, the email address and stuff. You want to donate to the show, hit us up right there. And at any point, if you want to come on and chat with us, text your name to 347-778-1082. If your fingers get tired of typing, your mouth ain't gonna get tired of talking. So there's that. We are talking about the perception of weakness in relationships.
Yes. That one.
I wasn't able to type in a lead-in paragraph, so I guess we'll just lead in how we lead in. What are your thoughts so far on this topic?
This one right here is one of those that I really think should be talked about, because a lot of relationships, for some reason, I think that people have it mixed up. Mm-hmm. Certain people think that weakness is someone who always backs down or give way to the other person. And sometimes it's just that person don't care for all the damn conflict that comes with their mate. Lord. But anyway, we're gonna get into it, man. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and throw out that first one. So what influenced the definition of weak/weakness? And by definition, that is lacking the power to perform physically demanding tasks, lacking physical strength and energy, by definition.
All right, so that's by definition. by definition, that's what that is. So, before we get into this first talking point, I will say weakness is um, the inability of an individual to operate within the boundaries of the situation that they're in. They don't lack the mental, physical, or emotional courage to do it, um, which causes an imbalance in a relationship. So that would be my definition of it.
All right. I'm gonna say weak. It's not necessarily a physical thing. It's more of a mental thing.
Hmm.
I think because I've seen plenty of people who are physically able to do certain things, but mentally they allow themselves not to push through what they perceive to be a blockage or a stopping point.
Right.
So
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So what influenced the definition of weak and weakness? There are a lot of influences out there, and I think at some point, um, those things need to be addressed. Um, I think on the shallow end, I would say in our communities and stuff like that, what influences is um, popular culture, the hip hop culture, the desire to have uh, to present themselves as thuggish, rough, and all of that stuff. So if you're not presenting yourself like that in certain situations, then you're probably looked at as weak. You're also looked at as weak if you have a situation to where you rather talk down a fight as opposed to quick to throw your hands up and fight, which that can be defined as weakness. Because I can recall back in our days, it's like if somebody went to fight you and you back down from the fight, you was looked at as weak.
yeah, um, it's sad because there's two sides to that coin, right? One is the physical aspect of it, meaning if someone from your hood or you get into a public arena where there's a chance for physical altercations, and you walk away.
Hmm.
So some people take that as a sign of weakness. But the flip side of that is you're actually the stronger person because mentally
Hmm.
you're saying, I'm not going to allow you to bring me into a space where things turn physical, where either I can end up hurting you or you can end up hurting me, and it's all over something as stupid as someone stepping on your tennis shoe.
Right.
As many times me and you saw that back in the day.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
but a lot of people who come from those backgrounds of being in the streets, you just know that you're going to be challenged, whether you want to be or not, or
Hmm.
tested, as they say. And how you react from that point on, depending on who's all around you, is going to lead to the rest of, I'm not going to say your life, but how you looked at in that particular community, um,
Hmm.
especially by your peers. Because if you were to let someone, punk you, as we used to say back in the day,
Right.
um, then they're gonna always try to punk you. It's
Hmm.
gonna keep on going. It's a continuous thing until you stand up for yourself. Um, I know a lot of times when I saw people get into confrontation like that, the aggressor was more, how can I say this? they were more willing to leave you alone if you stood up for yourself, even if
Mhm.
they beat your ass, or if they beat you up. At least 9 times out of 10, from what I saw, they're like, okay, so you're willing to stand up for yourself and fight back. So the next time I come at you, I won this time. I might not win next time. So it basically puts up that warning sign that, hey, I'm not going to be a pushover for you.
Hmm. So Lovey asks, what about the makeup of a relationship versus an individual, which we're going to get to, but to answer that question briefly, I hate to say it depends on the relationship, but you know, women are more strong minded these days, and I would say that in a relationship where a man is being a pushover to a woman, then that is looked at as weak. Um, Now, as an individual, this person may be, he may not be, what's the word I want to use? He may not be a very outgoing type of person. He might be a laid back person. The word escapes me right now. But, in a relationship, if for a man, if a man is not able to match a woman in certain areas and he's kind of like docile pushover type, then she may look at him as weak. um and in my opinion, as far as women looking weak, some men look at women in a sense of, if she's a crybaby or whatever the case may be, then she might be looked at as weak. But of course, it's dependent on the situation. And love you also say, we can't wait until you get to that segment. Weakness in a relationship and not speaking on individuals being weak. Weakness in a relationship. You mean the relationship as a whole, or what? I mean, we're talking about as far as like the individual, but weakness in a relationship. There's many ways to slice and dice up. You know, weakness in a weak relationship overall. I mean, if you got two jokers who can't rub two nickels together and make their thing work, then that's weak. You know,
She said
yeah,
lack of communication is a
that that
weakness.
that is a weakness. That's a big weakness. I'm glad you brought that up because we know that's not on our list. But I mean, yeah, we'll touch on that a little bit in a roundabout way. But yeah, that is a weakness.
Yeah.
So who is allowed to be weak in our society? What do you say?
Wow. At this point, it's hard to say, simply because times have changed. Our way of lives have changed. Um, Certain things that were not acceptable back then are more acceptable now. So I don't know. It's kind of a hard question, because the thing about it is what um, I don't know, what view are we looking at exactly, or what circumstances are we examining when we ask that question?
Um, I don't know who we're examining, but I will say no one is allowed to be weak these days. Um, we're in a society to where I think everybody needs to be assertive to a degree. Um, because at the end of the day, uh, um, we have to. The world is not the way it used to be. Levy says both men and women are allowed to have their moments of weakness, but it's how we get through them to rebuild our strength. Yes, we're all entitled to moments of weakness. We all have those days, but when it's sustained over a long period of time, it becomes a problem. Um, because when we have our weak moments, 9 times out of 10, they're not publicly shown. And it also depends on the weakness. Because as a man, I don't, yes, a man can have his good and bad days, but I don't think a man should allow himself, regardless of what the world is trying to do, whatever, regardless of what his woman is doing or whatever to him or trying to do to him, I don't think a man should allow himself to go for sustained periods of time dealing with those bad moments. And with that being said, you know, part of that goes into your being weak if you are too afraid or too uh have too much pride to reach out for help. That to me is weakness. And if you're in a relationship, you definitely cannot allow yourself to be like that.
So let me ask you this then. When it comes to being alpha and being beta, how do you view an individual and know which one is which?
Honestly, I don't deal in it alpha male, beta male, zeta male, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Um, because we're in a society where we are programmed to to live. And of course, the world is survival of the fittest, but we're not animals, so to speak. Like
Right.
when you look at a lion, when you look at lions and tigers and bears, oh my, you have the alphas, you have the betas, you have a clear figure that's the man, so to speak. Um, for us, it's enough space for us all to have our space. I think to me, alpha male, beta male, and that stuff, it just defines a person's personality. That's how I look at it. I don't look at that as being strong or weak for humans. Um, because again, it's enough room for us to carve our own paths, and we can all be beta males by whatever definition that we want to make it. So I don't deal with the alpha male, beta male shit.
When it comes to the alpha male and beta male, I look at that as you can't really apply that to human beings because truly by definition, alpha and beta was um, came into definition by scientists studying animals,
Hmm.
namely the wolf packs.
Right.
And in all actuality, it wasn't about being alpha when you come down to wolf packs because they're really a family. And a family has the head of the family, both
Hmm.
male and female. And they generally concentrate their efforts and energy on protecting their territory.
Hmm.
So I just leave that, in that kingdom, as they say. But when it comes down to actual uh, human beings, I think that everyone is kind of both because there are certain things that you are going to be great at, and there are going to be
Hmm.
things you're not so great at. But that doesn't define you as being weak in any kind of way. It just means
Right.
you're better at certain things than you are. For example, if you have um, a guy who's good at lifting weights, he can go
Hmm.
to the gym and pretty much outlift anyone in there. Great, you got that. But when you have another guy, he might not be able to lift weights like that. But dude is good as hell with math and numbers, and he could be a multimillionaire.
Hmm.
Whatever his given career is or whatever. So obviously he's good at that. So it's just one of those things that I think everyone's good at whatever it is they choose to be good at, and some things they're probably like, well, I can probably work on that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there a sense of vulnerability where Is there a sense of vulnerability where men are presented in our community?
I think there is. Um, Again, for example, when you have situations where some men are more physical than other men, for some particular reason, they're looked at as more in control or in charge. Where some men are, they're just more laid back. They kind of
Mhm.
go with the flow. So the thing about it is, I think we've been programmed in our society where women, they want the top 1%, meaning the ones who make the 100,000 and got their shit together, as they say. And the other people who are less than the 1%, or however you want to put that, they're not looked at in that same light, which is crazy to me because I think everyone lives their own lives the best way they can. Just because
Mhm.
you're not making 100,000 plus, you're not considered in the top 1%. It's crazy, man.
Mm. Yeah. Um, as far as vulnerability, um, again, and we'll get on this a little later. There's so many dynamics to I gotta see the joke.
Yeah, no, I don't speak for all women.
Oh, definitely not. And we
Heck
don't speak
no.
for all men either.
No, definitely not.
um, but it's funny that in our community, our communities, weak when it pertains to black women and black men, it's so interchangeable on how we label each other weak that it's also contradicting. Um, you know, as a for a man, and this is something that we have struggled with as black men for a long time. You're weak if you cry. You're weak if you go seek therapy. You're weak if you don't punch somebody in the face. You're weak if you punch somebody in the face and you know you can whoop their ass. There's so many different ways to label weak in our communities that is just ridiculous.
It is. I mean, the thing about it is, especially as men of color, we try to live our lives and conduct ourselves the best way we can, for the most part. I'm not gonna say all of us, but for the most part. Um, but it's kind of like one of those things that some men are looked at as, why don't you have a wife or a family, or how come you never been married, or things along that line. And it's like, how can you even put that into a conversation of saying someone is weak because they don't have what, again, society is telling a man he should have?
Hmm.
That's bogus to me. I think everyone should live their lives accordingly, and regardless of what you have or what you might not have, you're being placed in the light of a person who's, how should I put this, your priorities aren't in that light, meaning you're a man if you have a family. And I think that's crazy. That's
Hmm.
totally stupid.
Sometimes you're a man if you don't have a family and you slinging down like 15 women. So I mean, again, that
Yeah,
goes to the label of weak being so interchangeable and contradictive in our communities.
it is very. So in your opinion, what are the characteristics of a weak man or woman?
Characteristics of a weak man. First and foremost, I would say a man who lacks the ability to walk away from a relationship with a woman where he puts his hands on her. That's a weak man. Um, a weak man is one who does not or cannot, for the life of him, find the common decency to take care of his children. Um, a weak man is one who chooses, and I'm talking about an able bodied man who chooses to leech off of a woman. That's a weak man. Um, a weak man is also one who knows he's lacking or needs assistance in some area that he cannot fix on his own, and refuses to reach out for help. Um, as far as a weak woman, that can go along the lines of the same thing. Um, a woman, if you're in a situation with a man and you have to put your hands on him, just walk away instead of putting your hands on him. Um, you don't take care of your kids. You don't have, it's some of the same things. What about you?
I'll say for me, by definition, a man, and this is interchangeable for men and women, is someone who lacks self discipline,
Mm,
someone who also is afraid to be who they really are, meaning they know or they might have a sense that there's a greater um, version of them,
hmm
to put it kindly. They they fear becoming and walking into the person that they know they are, or they know they had the potential to be, but they refuse to go that way because they're scared, basically, of themselves. So it's kind of like, for example, someone who's good at sports, he might be very talented at football, but just because he has that talent, he refuses to show up for practice. He
mm,
refuses to, run the extra miles or do the extra push-ups. He just, relies on that fact that he has the talent, but he's not brave enough to actually see how good can I really be by applying myself. And
mm.
again, that's one example of how I feel someone weak because they refuse to just step up and be the best version of themselves.
Yeah, you might get a little pushback on that from somebody,
Yeah.
um, because, um, but to say that one has to understand that this person is choosing to do that, and it's not some type of, oh, I'm shy or this, that, and the other, or I have a, maybe struggling from some type of, emotional or mental disorder or something like that, or even a physical disorder. This is a person, let's just say a damn narcissist. Let's just put it that way.
All right.
Because narcissists are weak people to me. um so yeah, I mean, if you look at it from that point of view, I definitely see where you're coming from.
I mean, again, to give you another example, is I've seen people with certain disabilities. One person who was in the military and he had both of his legs blown off. But this dude is a beast. He never let it stop him. He's
Hmm.
constantly in some type of, um, arena where he's constantly working out or, working with his wheelchair, playing basketball in his wheelchair, just anything and everything. And he's in a space mentally where he's happy.
Mm,
Like a lot of people could sit back and be like, I don't have any legs, and just dive into self pity and things along that nature. But when you've been in a situation like that and you're faced with the reality of, having this disability, and you take that disability and you turn it into a strength, I mean, to me, I can't call you weak because you took your situation and you turned it around and you still made it work for you.
I think in that situation, some people are just wired differently.
That's true.
You and I can look at that situation and say, yo, for a person to do that is a strong person. The person who not do that is a weak person. The people they could just be wired differently, and at the same time, it's like I know a lot of people out there will say to someone like that, well, at least you still have your life. And it's like, but I'm used to having my full body. So it's like,
All right.
Some people can't pick themselves up out of that. So I think if you have the proper support system and the will to push forward, then yeah. As far as weakness though, I don't, yeah, I just think people are wired differently when it comes to that. And sometimes it's just that, yeah. Mm. But then I think that goes back to a person's upbringing as well. Um, and how they assess their upbringing and change as they get older. Because I've had a lot of situations in my life younger that um a lot of people I know or I hear about could not handle those things. And I look at myself and say, if I would have let those things keep me from being where I am now, then I would have called myself weak. Um, Somebody out there would have called me weak. And then I could also look at it, if somebody else out there calls me weak, I could say, well, you've never been through what I've been through. And so for you not to go through what I've been through, who are you to call me weak? You don't know how I'm handling that stuff. And some people may look at me and say, well, damn, you've been through all that. You strong. And it's like, I look at it as I still have a life to live. And, whether some person looks at it as strong, I just look at it as the will to survive and push forward.
Definitely, definitely. Because the thing about it is, that, like you're saying, we've all had our struggles. Some people have been through a hell of a lot more than others. Um, some people they just fall into a place of depression,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not necessarily that they're weak. It's just they don't know how to get out of it. So, um, someone around them may offer help or say you need to get help,
Mm-hmm.
and again, they may refuse for whatever reason.
Right.
But it's kind of like some people are happy with their situation of not trying to be the best version of themselves for whatever reason.
The better word would probably be content.
There you go.
Yeah.
So they're content with their situation, and that's where they want to stay.
All right. Yeah. Um, when I look back at a lot of the things that I've done in my life, I can say I was content. I look back at some of those things now. I'm like, dude, you was weak, you was lazy, you was this, you was that. Like, there's no way, no reason that you should have spent probably 3 or 4 years on a merry-go-round of your own bullshit.
Right.
That's weak as a man. I would look in the mirror and say that was weak. Um, because there was never anything stopping me from achieving more than what I was achieving at those points in my life. So would I consider that weak? Yeah, I would consider that weak. Because again, there was no reason, no logical reason for me to be in that headspace, that financial space, or whatever, that emotional space, or whatever the case may be. I mean, as men, we gotta pull ourselves by the bootstraps. Uh, and while I'm thinking about that, when it comes to characteristics of a weak man, I will honestly say a man who blames. everyone else for his shortcomings is a weak man. And I see a lot of weak men out there. Like, for instance, I was talking to Phoenix yesterday, and ironically, we were talking about a situation to where someone blames their parents for where they are and everything that's going on with them. And it's like, you can't blame your parents for the decisions that you make. You know, I can say, growing up, I grew up without a father. I can say, well, my mother didn't treat me like this, or mother treated me like that, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, who was in charge of my life? Me. Especially when I was out of the house. I can't blame her or anybody else for whatever decision I choose to make. Whether I was taught certain things or not, I
Right.
have to look at myself as a man and be like, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do. And weakness is taking that fault off of me and putting it on someone else.
I would definitely agree with that. Especially when it comes down to someone who you think has more power over you than they actually do. Meaning, if you allow someone, especially when you're in a relationship, to control, your every movement or,
Mhm.
how you conduct your life, at some point you have to realize that the only person that can allow them to do that is you.
Right.
And again, that's not saying that you're weak, but that's saying that you have a choice. That's all.
Yeah. And Lovey, I'm glad you made that point right there, because for a long time, a lot of those things did affect me in my adulthood. Um, and I can honestly say it affected me in my adulthood until, I want to say, mid to late 20s. That affected me in my adulthood. But I got to a point where I said, this is bullshit. That's what I said. I know a lot of people out there who cannot bring themselves to that realization that some of that is bullshit. Also, and there's another caveat to that where there are people who are just not capable. But at some those people who are not capable, I firmly believe that they should try their best to seek out the help that they need to overcome those deficiencies in their lives. But for a person like me and people like me who sit back and be like, you know what? Yeah, this, that, and the other happened to me growing up. And I've been carrying that baggage with me for so long. At some point, when do I want different? When do I say I need to be different? Because we can't, some of us look at our lives and some of the choices that we've made and say, you know what, I have people depending on me. And for me, it's like, when I look at all the bullshit that I've been through and how I allowed it to affect my adulthood, I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I got kids. I can't keep, slacking and saying, oh, because this happened to me when I was young, this is where I'm stuck at in my mind and in my heart. But again, it also takes strength to reach out for help. Yeah, a lot of people enjoy being in their misery. And to me, my opinion, and Sun Solex, I want you to touch on that too. Um, I believe people who enjoy being in their misery and try to dump it on other people, I think those are weak people.
Definitely. Again, we've all been through our own personal battles or wars, as they say. And again, you have to get to a place in your life where you, like we're talking on our last segment, of you're tired of being tired.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You have to get tired of your own bullshit as well.
Right.
Meaning, when you wake up and your life isn't in the position that you feel it should be in, and you're living in the past because of the things that happened to you, whatever traumas or dramas that happened to you, it's kind of like, again, at that point, you have to be tired of being fucking tired. You have to make the necessary changement or changes for your life to better yourself. Yeah, we could go on about, how our parents did this, or how this person wasn't in my life, or that person wasn't in my life. But again, that person is doing their thing. They're not obviously concerned with you and what you got going on. So I think that comes back to self-reflection, though.
Yeah.
We all get to a point in our lives where some of us are like, I don't like the life that I'm living now. I want to make a change. And some of us turn to church, some of us turn to religion, some of us turn to spirituality. We all turn to something
Mm-hmm.
because we want a change. And the thing that you have to realize and understand is you are the only person that can make the change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to sit up there and, like Lovely said, be in your own misery and all that, then again, that's your choice.
Right. Yeah.
But at
Yeah.
some point, you have to make that change.
Mm-hmm.
You
I kind of didn't want to touch on this because we're going to have a topic on this soon later. Well,
Mhm.
soon. Um, you was talking about what people turn to. You have people who turn to drugs and alcohol. Um, and I know for a lot of people it's a touchy subject when
It
it
is.
comes to that. But and they say addiction is a disease, addiction this and blah blah blah. Um, that kind of angers me because if you've never, ever, ever been an alcoholic or a drug addict, or if if you are a social drinker and because you're going through something now, you're an alcoholic, I'm not feeling that. If you've never done drugs and all of a sudden you think drugs are going to help you through something, and I hear people say, "Oh, well, it helps me get through the day." To me, I look at that as a weakness because if you've never been an alcoholic and now you're going through something and now you turn to alcohol, it's like you really could not make a better choice. Like you're the only one in your group going through something and you are the only one who decides to be alcoholic, and that's what you turn it. To me, I think that's weak. Um, so I mean, you have a choice uh to what you how you choose to work through some of these things, um but at the end of the day it's your choice. So yeah, it's always a productive way to work through whatever weak moments that you have are going through, and there's a way to deal with things that will make you stronger, and not look weak or feel weak or be perceived to be weak. Um, I agree and disagree. Um, Certain people have certain triggers. Um, but I can't. Okay, so let me put it like this: I can't speak on a broad term for everybody out there in the world. I can speak on some of the people that I've seen, um, that choose to self medicate, and yes, it's a very dynamic thing when it comes to that, because we can all sit on the bench and be like, well, you don't know what triggers this, you don't know what triggers that, and we can also sit back and say, well, or I can say, well, shit, I've been through 10 times worse shit than this person been through, and I'm not alcoholic. And some people would be like, oh, well, you're strong. It's like it's no, it's for me, it's a choice of what the hell you're going to do in any given situation. Um, but again, yeah, we don't know what triggers who or what when it comes to addiction, but I just feel like if you've never picked up a drink, never picked up a drug, then I have my opinions with that. Take a person away from their situation for the moment. Hell, some use sex as coping mechanism because it feels good for the moment. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean I can't dispute that. Um, yeah, I can't dispute that. What about you?
No, I mean it's true that some of us um, choose not the best avenue to help us cope through our situations, meaning drugs or alcohol or hell, sex to a certain degree. I just feel again, you can't judge someone until you, like they say, walk the mile in their shoes or whatever the case may be. But there are so many situations where people have damn near walked in the same line as you, meaning, there have been people who have had drug addictions and who were able to beat those addictions. So it's kind of like there's a blueprint out there for people going through certain situations. And I'm not saying that everything is tailored to fit each person. Is that person has to take their situation and make everything tailor fit them.
Mhm.
Meaning, you know what you're going through, you know what you're experiencing. And again, it comes down to a choice. When you're fed up with how your life is being lived or being conducted, then you'll make the necessary changes. And again, some people can make the change and some people can't. That's just the harsh reality of it. Because I've had plenty of friends who have gone through addictions and they're doing well. They beat their addictions. And I've had some friends who've had addictions and they're no longer breathing.
Mm.
So again, the friends who were able to make the transition or get to that point and say, "Hey, this isn't the way I want to conduct my life anymore." They got past it. And the ones who, just sat there in their own misery or they felt they weren't strong enough to get through their situation. It wasn't that they weren't strong enough. It's just that again, their choices led them in the direction that they went. Because there are plenty of sources around, meaning, you know, health centers or addiction lines or whatever the case may be, programs to help you get out of your current situation, but you refuse to help yourself. So
Yeah, and Lovey also says, and although we may go through similar situation that what worked for me may not work for you, and vice versa. I agree. Um,
definitely.
so I'm looking forward to when we jump on that addiction conversation because um, I, I I'll just wait till we get to that conversation because because I have my personal thoughts on it, and when I look at my thoughts on it, I look at sometimes I throw a lot of bullshit flags at this whole addiction concept because it's been tossed around like a damn hot potato for like 20, 30, 40 years. So I'm just going to leave it alone for now.
Right.
Um, Judgments that come with asking for help is a real deal issue for some. It is a real deal issue, but at the end of the day, people make the choices that they make, and I'll leave it there for addiction. And yeah, I'll leave it there. So, who sets the tone for what is considered weak and strong?
Ooh. If you're in a relationship, I think whoever is the more dominating person sets the
Mm-hmm.
tone. And
Mm,
again, that's not necessarily always the man in a relationship.
mm,
Um, as an individual, again, you set your own tone. You know what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. You know what you want to achieve in life and what you don't care to achieve. So I think it all just comes down to the individuals, as an individual's case, anyway.
yeah, yeah. In a relationship, I think, I think the the person who is more assertive sets the tone, and the person who recognize that leadership or whatever the case may be, um looks at that person as a strong person, not saying that they're weak, but they rely on that person for strength in whatever role that they have in that relationship. um as far as who sets the tone for what is considered weak, again, that's a fine line, and especially in relationships, because let's just say I'm with a woman and she does something outlandish just to test me, or just because that's what she wants to do, and I sit back and let it fly. She might look at me like, this weak mother, like, I could do this, I could do that, and this joker ain't gonna do or say nothing. That joker weak. I mean, uh that's a yeah, it's one of them things. She says a healthy relationship should provide balance for each individual, but hell, what do I know? My ass is single. Maybe your ass is too goddamn strong, and everybody that you deal with is weak. How about that? um, yeah, because
So are
you were
there
strong. You strong minded and strong willed. So not too many people can handle you. Um, so I mean, I look at it like that. Um, so what's up? What's up, Roberta? Um, Levy, don't do that. It's gonna be all right. Baby, it's gonna be all right, baby.
so are there cultural expectations?
Hell yeah, there are cultural expectations. In our communities, there is a expectation that the black man should beat his chest, um, and be strong and be this and be that. But in certain dynamics, let's just say, I'm gonna put it like this: growing up, when or in my 20s or whatever, you know, I was rarely around interracial relationships, or even, whatever. Um, some of us looked at it as a black man dating a white woman was weak because he couldn't handle the black woman. And, you know, we had that ingrained in our minds because we sometimes perceive black women as, you know, loud, strong willed, or, whatever label we gave them at that time.
Mhm.
And a man who couldn't or would not deal with black women was weak, because like, yo, you can't handle her, like, she talked too much, oh, she too loud, oh, she too this, and it's like, oh, you weak, like, what is wrong with you, like, you a punk, like, you don't know how to get her straight, like, what's the deal? So I mean, culturally, that's how I would look at it.
Um, I'll say in our community, again, the man's supposed to play a certain role, and when he doesn't play that role, then he's looked at, in a lesser light, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Meaning, does he take charge in certain situations, or does he just sit back and, well, ask questions, some shit like that?
Mm.
I'll give you an example, right, of how I think, to a certain extent, we are looked at differently.
Hmm.
I was on vacation one time. I was in Jamaica,
Right.
and we were at this waterfall. I can't think of the name of it, but it's one of those toury spots where everyone goes, and it's kind of like one of those challenge yourself to go up this waterfall.
Hmm.
So anyway, the tour guide was telling us, how to maneuver up this waterfall, and I remember everyone started looking at me first, and
Why they look
I
at
was
you?
like, one of the. I'm pretty sure I was the only black guy there. Everyone else was
Uh-huh.
either, someone Hispanic or Caucasian or European or whatever the case may be, and they all looked at me first. Like, aren't you going to go first? And I was thinking to myself, should I go first? And I really wanted to go first, but then I was like, nah, because the reason I didn't go first was I saw some guys there that I knew for a fact they were going to have fucking problems going up that
Oh
bitch.
wow.
I knew for a fact that,
Mm.
I could go ahead and have fun and do my
Mm.
thing. But if I leave these motherfuckers here, they're not going to make it up there.
Oh my goodness.
And
That's
most likely they're going to hurt themselves. So anyway, I just stood back and I let everybody else go first. And sure enough, the people I thought were not going to make it did not make it without my help.
oh my goodness.
So I'm literally either pulling them up or pushing them up.
So pretty much they was weak.
I'm just going to say they had physical challenges. But it blew my mind, to think that in a situation like that, everybody automatically looked at me first. Like, okay, I know you're gonna go through this and demolish it or whatever, but I just chose to step back and help people who, again, I felt or
We're
actually
weak.
knew were not gonna make
We're
it.
weak.
But I don't know, man. It's so hard for us in our communities, as much as we try to be leaders and want to be leaders, the circumstances of each community will unveil itself.
Mm.
So whether you're dealing with, people of other cultures or circumstances that don't exactly benefit your community, it's hard. I think that, and I'm not making excuses for us. Please don't think that I'm doing that. I'm just saying that when it comes down to us in our community as men and wanting to be leaders, sometimes it can be challenging. And I'll leave it at that.
Lovey says, so now think about what you just said to me with capital Me. Should I begin to look in other cultures for a mate? No, because I'm going to call your ass weak if you look in another culture. Just joking. Just joking. Oh, man. I mean, whatever floats your boat. Me personally, I am at a point in my life where if you if you if you if you parlay with other cultures, depending on the situation, I might look at you as a conqueror. I don't know. I mean, do you think? uh, I'm not here to judge on that front. On that front, I'm not here to judge.
I'm
So
gonna leave that one alone. I'm not
yeah,
even gonna touch that one.
right. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. So, are there generational expectations when it comes to what is considered weak?
I think they are, because in our culture, we're basically trained or have this idea that each generation that comes after us is supposed to do better than us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of like when we have kids, we want our kids to be more successful, make better choices, help be smarter, more educated. I mean, you just want the very best for your kids.
Mm.
And it's kind of like,
Yeah.
um, in certain situations, they're only gonna do as much as you help them with.
Mm.
Meaning,
That's
like,
tricky.
if you help them with their homework or push them to do their homework or to get good grades, or to stop playing all the damn video games and get out their room and be physical, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, you know, I think is great that we want to push our children into the very best position as possible.
Right.
But sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Um. I I am on the cusp of saying that if they I'm to the point I am of the mindset
Mm-hmm.
that we have those type of expectations. And to me, I think it's sad that at this point in our culture, in our society, and in our lives, I'm just going to say the generations are getting weaker by the moment. Um, yes, everybody deals with certain things, but it's like the stuff that we dealt with coming up, the harshness that we dealt with, it's like jokers today cannot handle that. And it's like, where did this come from? And it's like when you look around, it's like, okay, y'all don't go outside, y'all don't fight, y'all don't wrestle, y'all don't your social skills are lacking. Uh, your Twitter fingers are stronger than your brain and your hearts and your backbones. Um, it's just so much that um, it's just mind blowing to me. Yeah, I don't for some reason I just don't get it. I really don't. Oh yes, that part. Goddamn that part too. Um, and to add to what you just said about children not being taught critical thinking skills, they refuse to accept those of us who try to teach them those critical thinking skills. Yes, I know that when we were coming up, we thought we knew it all, but it was easy for us to be humbled. And it's harder to humble these jokers these days with critical thinking skills. They refuse to accept what they're being taught, um, or what we try to teach them. I honestly do not comprehend some of it.
I'll say this: back when we were coming up, and I hate to keep on going in the past, but when we were getting to fights, it was always a one on one.
Sometimes,
Well, yeah,
for the
they're
most part,
they're the later
for
part.
the most part,
That's when they start doing all that jumping shit. You know what I'm saying?
right?
Um, I'll say they're probably like the latter part of the 10th grade for me.
Hmm.
It's when they started doing all the jumping shit.
Hmm.
But from like the middle school, uh, um, no, I would even say from like the fourth grade up to like the ninth grade, it was a one on one.
Hmm.
So it was kind of like whoever won, whoever lost. Sometimes they shake hands and you got me today, and that'll be the end of it.
Right.
But then when the whole motherfuckers running to go get guns or picking up something to knock your head off with, and then the whole jumping thing came in. I thought that was some of the weakest shit ever.
Yeah. That did depend on where you lived, and it also depended on what you were exposed to. Um, I mean, for us to grow up in Germany during those pivotal years, I honestly did not see a lot of jumping of a person, which is to me weakness. I didn't see a lot of that until after the movie Colors came out and stuff like that, or more access to those type of movies because Colors wasn't the only one where you saw something like that.
No.
Um, but I think with movies like Colors coming out, it exposed the more violent nature of that, and people latched on to that. Um, so yeah, a lot of my middle school years were stateside as well. Like I did the 5th grade in New York. The 6th grade here in Maryland, and then 7th and 8th grade was middle school. I did those in Germany all the way up till I graduated high school. So, yeah, I didn't see many, you know, shit until, after colors and all that shit. That's when I saw a lot of jumping or, you know, but to me, that's a sign of weakness. Because it takes that one person, sometimes that one person in the group who has a problem with a person and they say, yeah, let's go beat them. And everybody's with the get along. And it's like your weak ass had to call on your crew because you were not man enough to take that other man one on one.
Yeah. And the thing about it is even if it started off as a 1-on-1, when your man started getting his ass whooped, next thing you know, everybody jumping in. Or,
Right.
while they're fighting 1-on-1, your man is throwing punches to your opponent's back or
Mm-hmm.
back of his head or kicking him or some, crazy shit like that. I
Yeah.
just thought that was the weakest fucking thing ever. I'm like,
Yeah.
scared to take an ass whooping. That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
Now, if it was a little brother or a little sister or a big brother, big sister jumping in, then that's kind of acceptable because it's like that's your blood. So it's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
and back when we was coming up, it's like if you let your brother or sister get their ass whooped, I'm gonna whoop your ass. So
Yeah. That's true too.
so we had to deal with that nonsense.
So is weak subjective? Is my definition the same as yours?
Weak is subjective all day long. Yeah, especially and this goes back hundreds of years. Um, but if you look at it today, it's so subjective that it's mind-boggling.
Mm.
Because if you look at the actions that are out there today and the way people handle certain things, um, there's so many layers to it that it's like you see somebody do something and you be like, oh, your ass is weak for that. And you'll look at what caused them to make that decision and you'd be like, yeah, your ass is weak. But then if you peel back the layers of the onion a little further, there may be reasons that that person made this decision as opposed to the other one. And then you look at the root cause of every damn thing, and then you have to really look inside your heart of hearts and be like, do I understand this? And it was all right. Maybe it was acceptable for this person to make these decisions. But then it's like if you pumping your chest out too much and this, that, and the other, and then things go this way and that way, and now you are forced to make a decision that is weak, then you weak. And it's like, yo, dude, you made all the wrong choices to put yourself in this predicament, and now you are forced to make this decision out of weakness because it's going to save your ass. Period.
I definitely think it's subjective. I'll say for that, the way I look at it is if there are two people getting into a fight, right? If they're fighting straight up, all good. If one of them picks up something and busts the other one in the head, I think that's the weaker one.
Shit, I don't know,
But
bro.
then some people, on the flip side of that might say, well, there's no such thing as a fair fight.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's all in the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you put yourself, it's very subjective. But if I look at a situation and I can see every facet of that situation, and you caused yourself to put yourself in a situation to where you had to make a weak ass decision, and your ass is weak. Period. I don't care. Weak is fucking weak. Um, but then at the end of the day, we also have to take into consideration that, as we said and as Lovey said, everybody deals with certain things in their own way. So let's just say, and here's a good example. I used to look back at a long time ago and now, in some situations, I look at a person crying over their pet who's died is weak. But then I look at my damn cats and I'd be like, shit, if something happened to my cats, I'd cry. Um, Now, when I was younger and I saw stuff like that, I was like, what the, you crying over a goddamn bird? Like, your weak ass crying over a bird? But then I don't understand the sentiment. I did not understand the sentimental value of that situation. So, yeah,
Right.
weak was subjective to me at that point. But as I got older, it's like, all right, cool, I understand it. Yeah.
So, classification of weakness. When looking at the whole person, there's the mental self esteem aspect, the physical aspect, situational, financial. Only that financial for later. But when it comes down to mental and self esteem, I think everyone's at their own level. And again, it's hard to judge someone else's mental level because again, you haven't walked in their shoes. You don't know what they've experienced in life. You're only viewing it from an outside person's perspective. You can only say, well, if I was in that situation, what I would do. So
Right. Sheila, I'm gonna tell you like this. If it was a Samson and Goliath type of fight, David and Goliath type of fight, you can call me a weak ass bitch because if I see Goliath, my ass is out. I'm gonna get the wheels going. I'm going. You ain't even got to worry about it. If I have nothing close to me that I can knock somebody the hell out with, call me a weak ass bitch. I don't care. But in some situations, yeah, man, you smart because I wouldn't have dealt with that either. So I mean, yeah, that's one of those things. Yeah, yes, Lovey. Sometimes our own ignorance can cause one to say someone else is weak. And especially, and the craziest thing about that is, um, as men, we can see another man crying over a heartbreak with a woman, and because either we are too weak and ashamed to admit that we've been there, or if we've never experienced that, or we're just being ignorant, um, we'll call that dude weak. And it's like, this dude went through a heartbreak. So how are you calling him weak? But for a man, that's a weakness to call another man weak in that type of situation because it's like, it's weak and unacceptable to cry over a woman that breaks your heart, but it's okay to cry if something happens to your child or your parent or a sibling or something like that. Sheila says, nah, brother, I'm going upside that head. Hey, I feel you. But look here. There's that saying, uh, run away to live to fight another day. So
that is true.
Lovey says, who about what? Which part? Which part? Which part? Um, but as far as the classifications of weak and we look at mental and self-esteem, um, as I said before, in certain situations where a person has the ability to make certain adjustments within whatever time frame that is, logical for them, then you know, it's one of those things where mentally, if you can't get yourself together and you have the ability and the resources, then weak. Oh, you're talking about men crying over women being weak. Shit, as men, we always thought a dude crying over a woman was weak. Hell, I mean, coming up at this age, I don't say it's weak. Well, it's not always weak. I'll put it to you like this: a man who makes the conscious decision to do certain things to deliberately hurt women, and he knows that he's hurting women, and then when a woman hurts his ass and he's crying boo-hooing, I'm gonna call him a weak ass dude, because I'm like, yo, you didn't have a problem hurting these women, and then when one gets your ass back, you crying and shit. Dude, you weak. You just
Oh,
weak.
that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Nah, it's not tough. It's not tough.
No. Look, let me give you an example, right?
Oh, I got to hear this. I got to hear
Okay.
this one.
So one of my closest homeboys, R.I.P. Rest in peace. My dude. Back in the day, he and his wife basically fell in love, kind of like in high school and shit.
Hmm.
So through the course of their relationship, they had their situations, meaning they both did harm to each other, whatever the case may be. But anyway, so she got into some legal trouble.
Hmm.
So my boy held down, like going with her to every court date, paying fines, um, whatever and anything he needed to do, he was just there for her. So then when
Right.
she got locked up, he was sending her money, to be on her books and shit. So he taking care of the kids. There are three kids, and two of them was not his.
Hmm.
But anyway, he held her down, right? So once she gets out, the first thing she does when she comes home is tell him it's over because she done fell in love with some chick in the pen.
Okay.
So my boy, and it just so happened I was thinking about him that night, and I forgot what the hell I was doing. But anyway, I was like, let me go check on my dude and see how he doing. So when I get there, my boy is bawling like a goddamn baby. Like he's just letting it flow, man. And the only thing I could do was just hug a grown ass man and tell him it's gonna be all right. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking to myself, damn dog, I told you this bitch. I mean, excuse me, this this, this female was no good. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And I was telling her, I was like, the whole while that he was, standing by her and all that and stuff. And I was telling her, I was like, man, she done took you down through there. And yes, I know you've done your dirt too, but in this particular situation, I don't think it's gonna turn out that well for you
Hmm.
because you're paying all the damn court fees, and you already know she's still seeing someone, but you still holding her down.
Oh my
So
God.
again, when I roll up on the scene, this dude is crying like a newborn goddamn baby, and I'm like, fuck, 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 fuck. I wish
Mm.
you would listen to me. So at that point, it's like I couldn't even look at him, in the light of being weak. I looked at him in the light of my nigga is hurt. My homie is hurt.
That's
So
different.
it's that's the thing that I'm talking about. It's kind of like you can't really judge every situation when a man is crying from a woman and say he's weak.
That's
He
different.
he's hurt.
That's different.
Yeah.
So, because like I was saying, and like Lovey said, and like Sheila agreed, a man can hurt a woman but can't handle the same pain he places upon a woman. That's weak. What you're talking about is crazy to me,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you said they were both doing their own thing, right?
Yeah. They
That's
were.
crazy. That's crazy. That's just crazy. My thing is this. and this goes back to our topic of can a man handle a cheating woman that we did way back and that we're gonna revisit.
Yeah.
But dude, if you man enough to go out and do all this dirt to women, and you grabbing your meat talking about, oh, I'm the man, and then soon as that your favorite woman or your favorite women, they flip the script on you and do you like you did them, and you crying about it. Nah, dude, you weak. That's weak. There is no weak is not subjective when it comes to that. Period. It's not subjective because you've subjected yourself to your own bullshit. You are a victim of your own bullshit. I have no sympathy, no pity, whatever. I don't give a damn if you my damn son. If you out there doing shit like that and it gets done back to you and you crying like a little whatever and you need a pacifier or whatever the case may be, you're weak. Period. It's not subjective at all. I don't care. I don't care at all. I have no sympathy for it. And I'm saying this because I've put myself in that situation before. I was the player, whatever. And it was just that one got me. And I was on the floor. I was on the floor like I was catching a Holy Ghost. And yeah, and when I look back at that, I'm like, dude, you was fucking weak. You was a little bitch. I say that to myself. I have no problem saying I was weak. I was a little bitch. I have no fucking problem at all. None. Because at the end of the day, how am I crying and whining about something that I deliberately did to several people? Like, nah, come on, man. No, that's weak. And women do that shit to men too. And that's weak. But women do that shit so artfully that it's like, you got the man sitting there like, huh? Like,
you said artfully.
yeah, they do that shit artfully. Like, yo. And here, the thing about that is women who do that, they doing that and they hurting men and then they get hurt. It's like some of them don't cry. Some of them don't be sitting there boo-hooing. They do some different shit that you be like, yo, all right, whatever. I just can't handle it. But getting back to it, mental weakness. Yeah, if you have the ability to pull yourself together and you just don't, I don't know. It's to me in certain situations, not all, but just certain situations. That's weak to me. Just weak.
Okay. So physical, I'm gonna just
Holy
tap on
shit.
that right quick. It's hard to say when you
Go ahead.
classify a man as being weak. I mean, it's hard. It's like you don't want to call another man weak, but if he's weak, he's just weak. I've seen guys bigger than me, just mentally, whether it's on the job or in a gym. When we put a certain amount of weight on the bar, as they say, you're bigger than me. You should be able to move that shit, no problem. But you let someone like me, who's smaller, come in and pump that out. To me, that's I don't want to call you weak, but I think at that point it's more mental than physical because again, physically, you're bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
Some would even say, you're supposed to be stronger than me. But if I come in and I push more weight than you, and I'm pretty much damn near half your size, that's a problem.
Bruh, I gotta they misarmed David far too long. Yeah, they missed a lot.
Yeah.
I got a similar story like that.
All right. Shoot.
And it in my head, I was like, this weak mother. But in the situation, I was trying to motivate. So it was around, I want to say 2000. What was it? 2011. Around 2011, 2012. I applied for Baltimore City Sheriff's. Did all the stuff and got to the physical exam part. We had to do certain things. I forgot push-ups, run, sit-ups, and a couple of other things. Bruh, let me tell you, this dude from Baltimore could not do one sit-up. Not one.
That's disturbing.
Not one. Not one sit-up. Now, it was females out there with us, and they could do some sit-ups.
Uh-huh.
And naturally, in certain situations, you don't expect a female to do more sit-ups than a man. Especially when you're trying out for something for the first time. You don't expect that, but this dude could not do one sit-up. I looked at this motherfucker. I'm like, yo, this dude is weak. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. And I was just about to say it. I was judging. Anybody hasn't used his abs in a long time. Look here. The sarcastic part of me says you use at least 3 or 4 ab muscles when you're having sex. Because, you flex that, you got to get that stroke in. So you use some abs. But this joker could not do one sit up. And I was blown. I was like, yo. Yeah. Weak.
Damn
Weak.
it, man. Damn it.
Weak.
Okay, so let's move on to the financial.
No, you skip situational.
Oh, okay. You want to go with that one?
Oh yeah.
All right, go ahead then.
He was beating his meat, Lovey. And when you beat your meat, I don't know about women. Well, I do know about women, but I do know when you beat your meat and you at that point, you clench all the muscles up. So you using some abs. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it all. Judgment. I am throwing rocks at a glass house. I don't care. I'm throwing them because I do. But anyway, damn it. Situational weakness. I know you skipped over this, right? But the thing about situational weakness is it's hard to judge a person for situational weakness because
Right.
everybody is not used to every situation. Yes, Lovey. I gotta go to bed too. But everybody's not used to every situation. And we do have to take that into consideration because that flight or fight thing, it's mainly controlling that situational thing. Because like if a dog comes, some people might freeze. With a joker like me, I'm out. So I don't think situational weakness can necessarily be thrown on a person in this manner. So that's all I got for that.
All right. So I talked about this situation previously on another show. The person who taught me as far as like being weak or being scared was my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a situation where me and my uncle, who happened to be, my same age, we were in church one Sunday. And there were two guys who basically wanted to fight my uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of us fighting or him fighting them, as soon as we got out of church, we ran. So when we got home, I was telling my grandmother about it. And my grandmother turned around and looked at my uncle and punched him as hard as she could in his chest, like to try to take his chest off.
Wow.
And she hit him so hard that he flew back into the wall.
Mm.
And the look on my face was like, what the hell just happened just then? And she explained it to us. She was like, if I catch either one of y'all running from any other man, I don't give a damn what the situation is. I'm gonna beat y'all ass. Cause she said, as a man, you stand your ground and you fight your own damn battles. Whether you win or you lose, you fight.
Mm.
And from that day forth, I've never ran from a fucking fight ever.
Right.
I either, talk it out or we'll fight it out.
Mm.
But I'm damn sure as hell not gonna goddamn run, because when I think of the fucking running, I think of my grandmother hitting my uncle in his chest and caving that fucking chest in.
Yeah. And I'm glad Lovey said that. You're more scared of your grandma than them dudes.
You goddamn right.
We come from we come from a background to where we were scared of the woman. Uh it was like we were scared of certain situations, but that woman scared us more than them situations. And I think we need that back in our society.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah,
do.
we need that.
So the end of that one is financial. Scrubs, TLC, Bills, 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 Destiny Child, and Independent by Webby.
So financial weakness when it pertains to those. Um
Yes, indeed.
when it comes to scrubs and that whole thing, men get classified as weak if they can't hold a woman down in certain ways. But it's like, um, I don't know if you remember the song, the answer song to that, No Pigeons.
Mm-mm.
I forgot what group made that song, but they made an answer to Scrubs and it was called No Pigeons. Um, it's situations like that where those women with that mindset were calling men weak and all this, that, and other because they couldn't finance their lifestyles or this, that, and the other. And it's like, nah, shorty, you weak because it's not even supposed to roll like that. It's just not. Um, but I will say this: financial weakness is a person who just is unable, unwilling to learn how to manage their financial well-being. Yes, there it is. Sporty Thieves. That's who made that song. Yeah, you got to go check that out. But yeah, jokers who just and there's a lot of them out there, and I think that's just so weak that they refuse to handle their business in that manner. What about you?
I'll say when we were younger, we spent our money on, dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me. Um, we're into clothes, cars, chasing women, whatever back then. But as you grew older, or some of us, that's where you grown older, we're very um, on our shit, as they say, as far as how we spend our money. We
Mm.
count all the way down to the last damn penny in some cases. So I can't really say men were weak, back then, meaning in our younger years. We just need,
What age are you talking about though?
I'm talking about from anywhere from, let's say, 17 to maybe like 26, 27, somewhere
Mm,
around there.
mm. That's a hard one.
Somewhere around there. But again, when you don't have certain responsibilities, what you spend your money on is just what you spend your money on. And
Hmm.
again, that don't mean that you're weak. It just means that, you're not in the right, or you're not in the mind frame yet of,
Hmm.
what's the best choice as far as like how you should divvy up your money.
Right.
So when I hear the songs like Scrubs and Bills, 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 to me, I think that's kind of like saying, as a woman, you're depending on a man to benefit you in certain ways financially.
Mm,
And again, I get the whole dating scene, and if you my woman, then yeah, I want to help you out financially, if you need it. But to say
mm,
that, every man is supposed to pay for every woman in every situation, bullshit.
mm,
And when it comes down to the song "Independent Woman" by Webbing, I think it's great to have an independent woman. There's nothing wrong with having a woman who's independent.
mm,
But at the same time, hell, as a man, you're supposed to be goddamn independent.
mm,
So I'm not gonna depend on a woman for shit if I can help it. That's just the way I view when it comes to finances as a man. I mean, there are times when my wife may help me with a bill here or a bill there, but again, for the majority of our bills, I pay that shit because I'm gonna have to pay it whether she's there or not. You know what I'm saying?
I get it, but she's silly. She ain't shit.
Hey, if you want to pay them, let them pay them.
Right. But I was going to say something to her first comment. In a situation like this, and along with what you were saying, like for us, our reckless spending from 17 to 20, whatever,
Right.
I would say it's partly on us and partly on our parents. So I wouldn't necessarily put all the weakness on us at those ages. I would put that on our parents because, when you talk about generational weakness, it's like that is a big generational weakness that we have had and in some cases still have today. You know, and for songs to come out like that, it's like that further exposes that weakness because if that's really the mindset, it's like why are we promoting this? Like that's not nothing about that is okay. And for the longest time, it was nobody in our culture pushing a different narrative. So it's like we struggle with that weakness all over again.
Yeah, and that's why I say it like that. Again, I don't think that people who are younger that make bad decisions are weak when it comes down to finance. They just made bad choices.
Right.
Now you reach a certain age, like the age group we're in now, and you're still making dumbass choices. Then yes, I do think you are weak.
Mm.
Sorry, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, definitely depend on your upbringing for sure. But yeah, we're gonna shut it down for now. Thank y'all all for joining us. Yeah. Hit us up, www.KingAndEyeLife.com. That's the website. If you got any suggestions or anything like that, there's a place to leave it there. If you want to be a guest on the show, there's a spot on there where you can register to be a guest, and we will bring you on here. So Lex, what you got for them?
I just gotta read this. Hell no. But but man, listen. If when that man comes along and wants to pay these bills, damn
Oh,
it,
you
I'm
back on it.
yeah, I can't let it go. I'm sick of this adulting shit.
Hey, you know what?
That's too funny. I'm sorry.
Quiet as
That
kept. I
is,
feel the same goddamn way.
that
If
is
someone
funny as
came along
shit.
and wanted to pay these damn bills, I'ma let them because I'm sick of this adulting shit too. Call me weak, call me what you want, call me. I don't care what you call me because I'm sick of it. Um, but yeah, if y'all got any topic suggestions for us, shoot them to us, inbox, email, hit the all those avenues that you can get us. Yes, Sheila, romance with no finance is a damn nuisance. And I heard that on the Big Daddy Kane album a long time ago.
Yeah. But
Oh man.
again, we want to thank you guys for tuning in with us, and please be on the lookout. We got some things coming through the pipeline, but we'll speak on when they get here.
Yes, indeed. And with that being said, we out.